All right, so I want to show how to use control plane, and I'm going to write the real application to do so. So let's see what I'm going to do here. I'm going to make a folder called survey. I'll call it qualification, qualify. And I'm going to use Claude, and I already configured, I did Claude MCP add, but I can say MCP list to list the MCP servers, and you can see one of the MCP servers is the mcp.test.cpln.io. And so I'm just going to run Claude, and I have nothing in the folder right now. So I'll start Claude, and I'll press Tab to convert it to a thinking Claude, and I'll say create a web form that uh, qualifies customers to check whether they are ripe for control plane or not. Look at the docs.controlplane.com to figure out what control plane does and come up with a succinct set of qualifying questions to determine who is a great fit and who isn't. Now, we're just letting AI do its thing. It doesn't matter if it's Claude or ChatGPT or anti-gravity from Google. Pick your poison, pick your tool of choice. I'm just going to let it do its thing. Now, once it's done, uh, we can open a shell, and I'll go to qualify. Let's see if we have anything. So it's doing its thing. But the key with control plane is that once we have the artifact, whether it's a binary or node code or Rust code or whatever it is, we can tell Claude, create a Docker file that encapsulates the application and make sure it works the first time. So now we queued, because it's still working on the first task, it's queuing the second task. Now, if you've been exposed to anti-gravity, you can work concurrently on multiple tasks. This guy does it in sequential order. I'm sure Claude is going to evolve and take a hint from anti-gravity. But let's let it brew and do what it needs to do. Honestly, I have no idea what it's going to come up with. I hope it's going to come up with something good, because then we'll deploy it. Now, while it's doing this, I can go and register a domain. But actually, I registered a domain last night called cpln.c. So I can use that domain that I just purchased but look, now I have some code here. So let me open index and see what it did. Is control plane right for you? What's your current planned cloud strategy? Multi-cloud, hybrid cloud, single cloud with no plans to change. How containerized are your applications? Fully containerized. What are your geographic deployment needs? What's your application scale and traffic pattern? What are your security and compliance requirements? Do you need to access services across different cloud providers? Yes. What's your such and such? Then let's see the result. Oh, look. Fantastic. So single cloud setup, don't fully leverage control plane multi-cloud. And then it takes me to try the quick start, and it doesn't take me to the right place. So start with control plane. Oh, it took me to control plane. And then what does it say here? Try the quick start, take the assessment again. Okay, now to deploy this puppy, we already created a Docker file. So I'm going to say here, create a global virtual cloud. That's a control plane term called qualify and place it in AWS US West 2. Then deploy the workload there. And because we have an MCP server, we don't need to know how to call, we don't need to know much. And so let's see what happens. So it did something. It's trying to do something and it's getting some errors. So it's probably gonna adjust what it needs to do. It's figuring out what's what, like the locations, where is Amazon US West. And so now found the location, it's CPLN, qualify. It created the GVC, and now it's building the Docker. It's pushing the Docker image to control plane registry. So it knows what to do. So if I now go here, I should see qualify. So I have a global virtual cloud it created in Amazon US West, and the workload is not there yet because it's still brewing over here. It's pushing the image. Oh, so what it did is it did this. So it did cpln, which is our command line, workload create. It called it qualify, and it gave us the image that we pushed into control plane and what global virtual cloud it's in, and so on and so forth. So that's it. Now, our workload, if we refresh, you can see qualify is running in the cloud on one location, which is Amazon US West 2. Now, we got a problem here, and I think this is an exact format error. I can tell it, make sure, I can say, make sure it builds for Linux AMD 64. It should know that, but for some reason the AI wasn't great, so we'll fix it. Maybe when it built the Docker image, it didn't use the CPLN image build, which it should have, and it tried to use the Docker image. So all it had to do is add the platform because I'm on a AMD, sorry, I'm on an ARM device, which is Mac M2 or M3, and because Mac M2 or M3 is ARM, I had to tell it what platform to emit. So now it's doing that, and it's pushing the image to control plane. It should have known to do that. So we can look back at what it did when it created the image. CPLN. Oh, you see what it did is using instead of using CPLN image build, it did Docker, CPLN GVC create, CPLN workload create, but where's the image? CPLN tag, but where was the Docker build? GVC, it should have built the image. Oh, it must have done it. Oh, so it did it here. Oh, you see, it did a Docker build instead of, that's the issue. Before I told it to use control plane, it just built an image. So it thought, oh, I can just utilize the same image. But that's fine. Uh, now that it deployed it correctly, you see the workload is running. Now everything is great. And I can open it on the internet and it just runs. Of course, if I want to put it on a custom domain, I can. Or now, if I want to make a change, I can say make the background more, make the background more interesting and animated. So I can say make the background more interesting and animated. with some lines and dots that keep moving in an interesting way. And then all I have to do is say, uh, just deploy it, just deploy it to control plane. And that's all you have to do. So if the question is great, vibe coding is fantastic, which it is, but now I want to deploy it, now you can deploy it. Of course, you can add steps to push it to a Git repository, super easy to do. I just wanted to show that interfacing with control plane, while you can deal with YAML files or JSON files or Terraform files or Pulumi files, because we have an MCP server, you can talk to it in the language of your choosing, Greek, Chinese, French, or any other language, and it will do what it needs to do. So here it even knows, oh, deploying workload to the global virtual cloud. I didn't even ask. It's just doing it. And so look, it's building, it's doing Docker pull platform, it's doing the build, and now it has a new version. You see qualify version 3, and it did everything. So we can look at control plane, and you can see a new version is deploying here. But what's nice is if we want to run it not only in Amazon US West 2, but let's say we want to run it also in Europe, what do we need to do? You guessed it. I'll just say add Frankfurt or add AWS Germany to the GVC. And I don't have to say what GVC because it knows the context. So it's that simple. Let me add AWS Germany. It figures out, oh, EDU Central 1 is Frankfurt, and it's doing what it needs to do, and it's patching. It's getting some error, so it's going to probably learn what it needs to do. Still getting an error. So it's still, kind of learning how to talk to control plane. Hopefully it's smart enough to figure it out, and it's done, I think. So if I refresh this, let's look at the global virtual cloud. Oh, you see it added Frankfurt just by me talking to it. And now the workload, you can see it's spinning up. It's already running in Amazon US West, and it's going to spin up in Amazon US Central. I can open the global endpoint, and you can see it's a more interesting, you see it did a nice background. And how easy was that? It was as easy as 1, 2, 3. Now, of course, if I want to save the data and maybe ask you the question of who you are and save it to a database, I can easily do that. But the point being, control plane makes it super easy to deploy. So you can see ingress has not yet been reconciled. So in a moment, it's going to be available, and the global endpoint route the request to the nearest healthy location. Let's see if I open it. It's already running in Germany. So the error message there or the warning is probably just disappeared. So we're running it in Germany. And if I want to run it somewhere else, I'll say, you know what, run it in Israel and run it on Azure Central US. And let's see what it figures out I want to do. I don't want to delete the existing locations. It's just saying, oh, I'm finding the new locations, and it's going to just run it. And it's that simple. So control plane, I can say remove the Israel location, and it will know what to do. So your infrastructure can now be spoken to in your language of choice, and the virtual cloud takes care of the heavy lifting. So I'm going to post more videos like this. I don't want to make this too long, but I hope you see that vibe coding coupled with control plane gives you a superpower. And you can see now we're running in Amazon US West, in Frankfurt and in Azure, as you can see, and if I now go to control plane, I can look at the workload. You can see it's running in 3 locations. What's the third location? It is Azure Central US. So we deployed it to Amazon US West, EU Central, and Azure. Let's see if it's running yet. It's running. So it just deployed. So I'm running on Azure. It was that simple. So I'll stop the video and I'll post some others, but hopefully this was interesting to you guys.